Welcome to today's journey into American numismatic history. In this video, we'll explore the fascinating story of the 1911 $10 gold coin, also known as the Indian head eagle. From its powerful design by Augustus Saint-Gaudens to its role in the U.S. gold standard era, this coin is more than just currency. It's a timeless piece of art and history. Let's uncover its full legacy together. Top 2 first up. The year 1911 stands out in the history of American coinage for its $10 gold coin, also known as the Eagle. This denomination had been a central part of U.S. monetary history since the Coinage Act of 1792, which first authorized production of gold coins. By 1911, the design circulating was the famous Indian head eagle, introduced in 1907 under the direction of President Theodore Roosevelt and executed by the celebrated sculptor Augustus Saint-Gaudens. The 1911 issue continued this bold artistic legacy. The Indian head eagle featured a left-facing portrait of Lady Liberty wearing a Native American war bonnet. This was a striking departure from earlier designs that portrayed Liberty in classical Greco-Roman style. Roosevelt wanted America's coinage to embody both artistic beauty and national identity, and the Native American headdress was chosen to symbolize liberty and strength in a uniquely American form. On the obverse of the 1911 coin, Liberty's face is surrounded by stars, representing the original colonies, with the date 1911 placed near the lower edge. The portrait is commanding, simple, and powerful, offering a fusion of classical influence with indigenous symbolism. This made the design one of the most admired in American numismatic history. The reverse of the coin featured a majestic standing bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing preparedness for defense, while an olive branch rested alongside to signify peace. The inscriptions included United States of America, the denomination $10, and national mottos E pluribus unum and, after 1908, In God We Trust. By 1911, both mottos were firmly part of the design. The composition of the 1911 eagle was 90% gold and 10% copper, a standard alloy used to harden the coin against wear, while maintaining its intrinsic precious metal value. Each coin weighed 16.718 grams, with a gold content of 0.48375 troy ounces, making it a significant store of wealth during its time. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint both struck the 1911 $10 gold coins. The Philadelphia issue bore no mint mark, while the Denver coins carried a small D mark on the reverse, just below the eagle. These mint marks are crucial for collectors, as survival rates and mintages differ, influencing rarity and value. The total mintage of the 1911 eagle was modest compared to earlier decades of coinage. The Philadelphia Mint struck fewer than 300,000 pieces, while Denver struck fewer than 100,000. These numbers were influenced by fluctuating economic needs, as gold coins were not as widely used in everyday commerce by this time, with paper money becoming increasingly common. By 1911, the U.S. was on the classical gold standard, which meant that every paper dollar issued could be redeemed in gold coins like the $10 eagle. As such, these coins were valued not just as currency, but as financial instruments tied directly to America's gold reserves. They were often stored in banks and vaults rather than used in everyday transactions. The presence of the In God We Trust motto on the 1911 eagle carries an interesting backstory. Initially, Saint-Gaudens and Roosevelt had omitted the phrase from the 1907 design, arguing for artistic simplicity. Public and congressional pressure, however, forced its reintroduction in 1908, ensuring that by 1911 the motto was a standard feature of the coin. The artistry of the 1911 coin reflects the broader cultural and political environment of the early 20th century. Roosevelt's push for a renaissance of American coinage sought to elevate coin designs into true works of art. The 1911 eagle is considered a product of this movement, blending beauty with national symbolism at a time when America was asserting itself as a rising global power. In circulation, the $10 gold coin was a large sum of money. In 1911, $10 equaled more than $300 in today's value, enough to buy a week's worth of groceries for a family or pay several months' rent in some areas. This purchasing power meant that eagles were not commonly exchanged in daily life, but were instead used for larger transactions or bank reserves. Collectors today value the 1911 $10 gold coin for its history, beauty, and gold content. Well-preserved examples, especially those graded mint state MS, can command high premiums. Coins with sharp strikes, minimal wear, and strong luster are particularly prized. The Denver issue is generally scarcer and more valuable than the Philadelphia issue. One reason the 1911 eagle is so collectible today is its survival rate. Many gold coins were melted down over the decades, particularly during the 1930s when President Franklin D. Roosevelt's administration recalled gold from circulation to stabilize the economy during the Great Depression. As a result, relatively few original 1911 eagles remain. Next up, the year 1907 marks one of the most pivotal moments in the history of American coinage, especially with the introduction of the $10 Indian head eagle. This gold coin was designed during President Theodore Roosevelt's era of reform, when he was determined to elevate American coin designs to the level of classical art. Roosevelt believed that U.S. coinage had grown dull and uninspired, and he sought to help one of the greatest sculptors of the time, Augustus Saint-Gaudens, to create new designs for the nation's gold coins. Prior to 1907, the $10 gold coin had featured the Liberty head design, first introduced in 1838 by Christian Gobrecht. While functional and familiar, the Liberty head was considered uninspired by Roosevelt. By the early 20th century, Roosevelt's passion for art and symbolism drove him to commission Saint-Gaudens to create a bold, modern redesign that would reflect the strength and ideals of the United States. Thus began the creation of what many regard as one of the most beautiful coins in American history. Saint-Gaudens, already recognized for his sculptures and monuments, introduced a revolutionary concept for the $10 piece. Instead of Liberty in her usual neoclassical crown, he envisioned her wearing a Native American feathered war bonnet. This was a daring departure from tradition, blending classical allegory with uniquely American imagery. The choice symbolized freedom, courage, and the nation's respect, though not without controversy, toward Native American heritage. On the obverse of the 1907 $10 gold coin, Liberty is depicted in a left-facing portrait with a feather headdress. Above her is the word Liberty, while around the rim are 13 stars representing the original colonies. The date, 1907, is placed below the portrait. This design immediately stood out as dynamic and distinctly American, breaking away from older European-influenced motifs. The reverse of the coin features a majestic American eagle standing on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. The arrows are intertwined with an olive branch, representing peace. Around the design are the inscriptions United States of America, e pluribus unum, and the denomination $10. Above the eagle appeared the motto, "In God We Trust," although early versions of the coin controversially omitted it. The omission of "In God We Trust" on some 1907 issues was a significant point of debate. President Roosevelt initially believed the motto was a form of irreverence, taking God's name too lightly in common use. However, public outcry and congressional intervention soon restored the motto to subsequent issues of the coin. This small detail makes the 1907 no motto varieties especially noteworthy among collectors. The 1907 $10 Indian head gold eagle was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it became one of the most artistically celebrated coins of the era. The coin contained 90% gold and 10% copper, weighing 16.718 grams with a diameter of 27 millimeters. Its gold content was worth $10 at the time, but has since become far more valuable due to both precious metal content and collectible demand. Because the design was so bold, minting the coin came with technical challenges. Saint-Gaudens' original high-relief models were difficult to strike using standard equipment. This meant that adjustments had to be made to the dies to create a version that could be produced in larger quantities. While this caused frustration for the mint, the compromise preserved most of the original artistry while making the coin practical for circulation. The introduction of the 1907 coin marked the beginning of a new artistic era for U.S. coinage. It stood alongside Saint-Gaudens' even more famous $20 double eagle, both of which transformed how American coins were viewed. No longer mere instruments of commerce, coins were now also works of art, admired for their symbolism and craftsmanship. Collectors today see the 1907 Indian head eagle as the first of its kind and a milestone in numismatic history. It represents not only the beginning of a series that would run until 1933, but also Roosevelt's vision realized. Its beauty lies not only in the gold itself, but in the cultural and political narrative that shaped its creation. Mintage numbers for the 1907 coin were relatively low compared to later years, making it a desirable acquisition for collectors. Exact production varied by subtype, with both no motto and with motto examples surviving. Their rarity and artistic appeal have kept demand consistently high on the numismatic market. Beyond its rarity, the coin carries immense historical symbolism. It represents a time when America was stepping onto the world stage as a modern power, confident in its identity, yet still grappling with its cultural representation of Native Americans. The imagery of liberty in a war bonnet was unusual, but it reflected Roosevelt's desire to craft a national identity rooted in both classical ideals and Native symbolism. Over the decades, the 1907 $10 Indian head coin has become a prized centerpiece in many collections. Condition plays a critical role in value, with uncirculated and high-grade specimens commanding significant premiums. Coins with sharp details, vibrant luster, and minimal wear often sell for thousands of dollars at auctions. The coin's enduring appeal is also tied to the genius of Saint-Gaudens. Tragically, he passed away in 1907, the same year his designs were first struck. Thus, the 1907 coin stand is both a beginning and an end, the dawn of a new era in coin design, and the final artistic contribution of one of America's greatest sculptors. Today, the 1907 $10 gold coin is more than just currency. It is an artifact of art, history, and national identity. It bridges a gap between commerce and culture, embodying Roosevelt's vision of beauty in everyday objects. Its presence in museums, private collection, and auctions continues to inspire admiration from numismatists and historians alike. In conclusion, the 1907 $10 gold Indian head eagle is remembered as a cornerstone of American coinage. Born out of Roosevelt's drive for artistic renewal, executed through Saint-Gaudens' genius, and minted in a year transition, it has left an indelible mark on history. Each surviving coin tells a story of innovation, controversy, and national pride, making the 1907 issue one of the most celebrated gold coins ever produced by the United States.